GOtv 47 Weekend Edition. You're watching To The Point with me, Linda Alela, and the guests tonight, Innocent in Danger, as well as Robina Anene on the sign language interpreter's side is Kevin Makori. And the conversation is about modern day contraception. It has been well articulated that we are faring on well as a country in terms of the uptake of contraceptives, and not just the uptake, but basically the knowledge behind that. But we still have concerns in relation to overuse and misuse, and especially when it comes to those ones that are considered to be young, you know, taking so much so of contraceptives and contraception. Perhaps, you know, like we say, it is a safe method, or most of the methods are safe, but then there's always that element of fear. Is it really proper for the kids to begin taking them at this early stage? As well as, you know, those ones that would consider themselves as medics, you know, the counter kind of processes and all that. What is happening in terms of regulations such that even when people want to engage, then they engage in the right manner and they are well educated on the methods that they are getting to?
Just listening to your question, you're reminding me of a question we always ask ourselves, the question of consent. When it comes to young people's access to contraceptives, especially adolescents. Because constitutionally, for somebody to make their own decision, they're supposed to be 18 years and above. If you look at some of our legal frameworks, like the Reproductive Health Bill Policy 2022-2032, for an adolescent to access contraception, they're supposed to be accompanied by
an adult,
and that is probably the caregiver. That's the parent or any person who takes care of that adolescent. And we realize that we have emancipating adolescents. We have minor adolescents, probably adolescents who are staying alone. So these are young people these are adolescents who would want to access these services, and probably there's no one to give consent on their behalf. And then probably a parent will not want the adolescent to take contraception. I will go back to a community where our parents, no matter how old you grow, I know even Robina here, when she goes back home, her father will always see her as the child.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
So many a times we realize that our parents find it difficult acknowledging the fact that, unlike during their days, our days, I think adolescents in this era, the Gen Zs and the Gen Alphas, they are actually I would say they're maturing and they're getting exposed to information quite at a tender age. So I think it's important that we support them to access these services, and at the same time aligning with what the Constitution says, what the legal frameworks say. It's also very important. But just understanding and acknowledging the fact that the demand is very high, and trying to help these adolescents. For me, I was in a session this week, and one of the facilitators asked a question: do we need to tighten the laws when it comes to access to contraception, or do we need to concentrate on information? For me, my thinking is we need to concentrate on information, because if you give this adolescent the right information, the adolescent, before going for that emergency contraceptive, he or she will have understood that I'm supposed to, if it's sex, it's supposed to be safe sex. And if I'm not ready, then I have to wait. So if you give this young person the right information, you won't have to struggle putting up or setting up laws and policies that will have to make it tight for them to access, and make it tight for providers to give, because the providers, especially the private sector, at the chemist, the pharmacist, these are people making money, they're in business. So if this adolescent comes, and some of these adolescents, if you look at their physical appearance, they look like adults.
You will sell to them.
The provider will sell to them.
It is rather an uncomfortable conversation to have, and it's been there. You know, a scenario where even the women are encouraged to take their, say, 12-year-old girls, you know, for this. And sometimes you want to ask yourself, is it really the way we want to go? Are we mature enough to have this sober conversation to the level at which, you know, In Danger here is saying?
Just as you have rightly put it, Linda, it is a conversation that everyone is very careful with what they say.
Yeah.
And at this point, I wouldn't want to dilute what the Gen Z has said. But I would want to emphasize on the fact that MOH have been fully aware about the Division of Reproductive and Maternal Health, are fully aware of this concern.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that they are doing is expanding knowledge to cadres who are not allowed then to provide options for our communities.
Okay.
For example, the pharmacists, they were actually not allowed to inject clients.
Okay.
So for these young and adolescent people who come to seek the e-pill every Monday,
right,
the team of pharmacists
after a busy weekend.
After a busy weekend,
Okay,
yes, you can say that again.
All right.
They are now trained to be able to provide an option to this weekly pill, which is DMPA subcute and DMPA IM, as opposed to the weekly e-pill.
In layman's language?
Instead of coming to get an e-pill every weekend,
yes,
there's an option,
okay,
which is better.
Okay.
The hormone level is low, and it serves you for a longer period.
Okay.
You're sure of yourself, being protected from pregnancy, because I'm told that's what the Gen Z fear.
Exactly.
The biggest fear.
That's the biggest fear.
Pregnancy.
It's actually pregnancy and marriage.
Okay.
And not the other concerns.
And not the other concerns.
Ouch.
But as a ministry and as a county, we are not just looking at pregnancy and marriage. We are going a step ahead and supporting them with other information related to sexual and reproductive health.
And I'm glad that you talk about hormonal and all that. Please paint a picture of the non-hormonal IUDs and the hormonal ones. I mean,
so contraception again can be divided either hormonal, non-hormonal, short-term, long-term. And so
reversible,
another short-term, reversible and non-reversible. So for the, I'll take the short-term, long-term approach. For the short-term methods, we have the stuff around pills, both POPs, the common mwananchi knows it as the pills za kunyonyesha, where the mother uses them up to about 6 months and nothing beyond that, because again the hormone levels keep changing. Then we also have the other set of pills, which is microgynon, a combination of 2 hormones in one pill. That again is taken for a period of 21 days in consecutively past 6 months, when baby is able to be initiated on complementary feeds. Because what that pill does, it reduces the milk production for the mom, and so it is not encouraged in during breastfeeding. The other method is what I've really lauded, the depot, which is commonly known as miezi mitatu. Depot IM, deep intramuscular, and depot subcutaneous. Both depots serve the client for 3 months. After depot, we have the 3-year implants, and now we have 2 again products. We have one rod and the other is 2 rods. Both of them still serve you for 3 years. And then we have another implant again, which is Jadel, and it serves you for 5 years. Now at that point, we move to the IUCDs. Again, we have 2 types. We have the hormonal IUCD, which is kinda a new product which is being introduced. And again, we appreciate the MOH, our partners, and Nairobi County, because they have invested heavily in supporting the healthcare providers with the knowledge and skill to be able to serve our clients. So the hormonal IUD serves the client for 5 years. And then we have the common copper T coil, which serves the client for up to about 10 years.
Okay.
For the long-term methods, again, I want Kenyans to know, the long-term methods serve you for a longer period, but you can be able to come back and it gets withdrawn if you want to get pregnant.
Okay, even if it's not gotten to the level.
Even if it has not completed its expiry time. So if I take up like Jadel for 5 years, and we agree with my partner that I want to deliver after 3 years, you come, we withdraw the method, and you return to
your cycle.
Fertility.
And it's almost immediately?
Yeah. Yes, the higher the level of hormone in the system, the longer it will take you to get back to the place you started before you took up the method. Return to fertility.
Is there anything you need to do, you know, after the removal? Are there any supplements you're supposed to take? Is there any kind of food you're supposed to eat, or you just wait for it to go back?
You will wait for your system to just adjust back to the state where you were before you started taking up the method.
Okay, and the babies will come out healthy and all that.
Perfect. Because you have just withdrawn a hormone from your system. Remember, these contraceptive methods are the ordinary hormones within our system that a girl child is born with. What we do is increase the levels so that we are taming the body not to behave normally. So if you withdraw the method, it means the body will go back to its normal state. And people behave and react differently to this method. Yes.
You haven't told us much about the BTL and vasectomy, or we've not even touched on that. But now that I talk, we're coming to that. Let's allow the gentleman in the house.
This is why we always, most conversations always talk about empowering women and girls.
Hey, brother, you know, that is what I was asking you people. Why is it that we're empowering girls only, that we're talking about vasectomy today? And now I think I want us to go to that space of the men and whether they have begun to embrace contraceptives, not just for their wives, not just for the women, but themselves. You know, you have had the advantage of getting all this information. At a certain point of life, would you consider vasectomy? And of course, we're not here to discuss you, but you know, perhaps we're using you as an example so that the people out there can understand the in-depth aspect to it, and you know, perhaps wash away the fear that comes along with that.
For me, I think it's not really my choice to decide. It's the way Robina said in the beginning of the conversation, that it's
don't be diplomatic. Don't
I'm
be
not trying to be diplomatic,
but it's all right.
I'm not trying to be diplomatic. But for me, I think it's both our choice, our responsibility to sit down and say, this is what we want to do. I remember there was a case that around a man who went for vasectomy. Then after a few months, I don't know, a few years, the wife was pregnant. So you know, it's a mutual responsibility. We sit down and say, I'm going for this, and this is how we want to. If we decide to change, the way Robina said it again, we change. So I think it's been men have not been taking it up quite well, but with the way the government is now sharing information and also offering opportunities for men to access these services, and at the same time training healthcare providers to provide these services, men are now coming out to access the services. And I think Robina,
I actually have data for Nairobi.
I am told we are targeting 75% by 2030. How far are we?
For vasectomy and BTL in Nairobi, we are working very closely with Maristops Kenya, who have invested again in training healthcare providers in Nairobi. And like in Nairobi, we have 4 centers who offer free vasectomy and BTL services, and that is Embakasi Health Center, Kahawa West, Mbagathi Referral Hospital, and Makadara.
Okay.
We have service providers who are trained, located in these facilities, and so what we do, we pull clients to these respective facilities and we offer them for free. In the last how many months, since June, we've actually served over 140 clients for BTL services.
Oh, no.
And vasectomy, come to think of it,
could you please tell them what BTL is in full? I think BTL
bilateral tubal ligation, where again, once a lady decides that they have had enough of the children, they go for this surgical procedure.
Okay.
So they do not expect any more children after a bilateral tubal ligation is done on them.
Okay.
And vasectomy, guess what, Linda? We have served over 50 clients, men, walking to our facilities and undergoing vasectomy.
Kevin here is telling me that is a bit punitive. Is there no lesser way of the men approaching this talk of family planning? And because now that would get you to a point where you have said enough is enough. If it is vasectomy for a man,
yes,
they're saying, is there something that is of less?
Again, we are saying take responsibility of your own health. It is you as a man making a decision on the number of children that you want to have. And supposing that your wife is contraindicated to all these other methods, we don't just give contraception. We do an assessment on you. There are some other underlying conditions that may make you not qualify to take up the hormonal methods.
Okay.
So this is the time for the men to take responsibility and say, because maybe you have these other existing conditions, I am able to take responsibility of my own family and go in for vasectomy.
Now that we're talking about modern,
it does not interfere with the normal
okay, I don't know.
What did you say?
I want to try and check whether the time allows us to say that.
Yes.
But yes, the functioning of a man is not.
It does not. Vasectomy does not affect the functionality of a man.
Okay.
You remain as normal as you were before you went in for the surgical procedure.
We're talking about technology and modern ways of contraception and contraceptives and all that. Somebody else is asking, are there other methods aside from vasectomy for men?
For men?
Yes. or is it work in progress?
Actually, I would say...
gel they hear about and I don't know what. I
would say, despite the fact that most of the methods are for ladies, I would say men are more advantageous. Because we have the simplest and the easiest one that...
God-given, all right?
Not the God-given.
No, I'm asking.
We have the male condom.
Okay.
Which is the easiest to access. And actually, if you look at... most of the time when you're having sessions within the community with the young people, if you give a lady a condom, or a woman, a wife, she will say, if I walk with this condom, and then my husband finds it, it will be war.
Okay.
But if you give the man, they are comfortable taking them.
And your wife finds it?
If the wife finds it, I don't know. I've never actually asked that question. But most of the time, it's taken that men are the ones who are supposed to work with the condoms. And actually the fact that now the availability of male condoms is very high, I would say as men we have a better advantage, because the condom, the way Rubina said it, the condom is more than just for the contraception. It's more than just a contraception. It's also preventing you from getting STIs, including HIV and AIDS. So men, we have a higher advantage than women when it comes to contraception, I would say that.
Yeah.
Okay, and of course, adding to the plus is that, of course, would come along with the uptake of contraceptives. On the question of mortality rates, on the question of education, just how crucial is it in terms of making sure that this conversation of contraceptives is advanced and in a better way?
When we invest in contraception well, it means we are going to address the issue of unwanted pregnancies. And if you are able to handle the unwanted pregnancy issue, because what comes with unwanted pregnancies, what are you looking at? Abortion.
Unsafe abortions.
Unsafe abortions. And when we are experiencing a lot of unsafe abortions in our facilities and even in communities, and we are losing lives as a result of unsafe abortions. No wonder we are again investing heavily in post-abortion care. So if we invest at the root, which is contraception, then we will reduce the number of unwanted pregnancies, which sometimes result into unsafe abortions, therefore leading to, it's a full continuum. So at the point where we interrupt is provision of access to contraception, affordable methods, the skill, knowledge, iwe juu, so that we are able to prevent this unsafe abortion that eventually lead to maternal mortality.
All right.
And just to add to that, you know, in this field, they always say it's good to back everything, information with data. And just looking at the recent data that has been out, the 6.4 million uptake for modern contraception has been is giving a potential of reducing unsafe abortions up to approximately 602,000.
Nice.
Well, if you look at the aspect of maternal mortality rates, they are being reduced very well. The aspect of unwanted, unintended pregnancies, that's around 2.3 million being reduced. So the modern contraception, the uptake of the modern contraception, it really has a high impact when it comes to the health and exactly and improving the health indicators of women.
Beautiful. I know this conversation cannot get to a close because there's so much to address, but we appreciate the much that we have managed to touch on. As we come to a close, perhaps in a minute, and as you prepare your parting shots as well, just how better can we address the unmet concerns and needs for contraception in the country? Because then we, and perhaps a global stage, we are talking about underserved population. We have I mean, before we began, we're talking about, you know, places like Turkana. How do they get to be, you know, to have the advantage of all this, all said and done?
People trust more the people they know. The primary healthcare approach is a good idea. If we are able to support the CHPs to be able to provide these contraceptions, especially the pills, remember the CBD, the community-based distribution teams. Are we able to support them to be able to increase access kwa ground huko, so that clients don't have to come all the way? We train them in the technical module, technical family planning module 11, very specific to family planning, so that they are able to access services easily. We integrate services in our facilities so that we reduce the turnaround time of moving around in the facility. If a client has come to access services, for example, HIV services, are we able to avail contraceptives at that station, so that the client benefits from HIV services, benefits from contraception, and walks away already having loaded. So integration is one great approach, where my very humble request to colleagues is that we on board all these, provide all these contraceptive services, all service points in our facilities, and especially the maternities, where that's a low-lying fruit for our clients to be able to access services. You leave that facility with a healthy baby, you have delivered under-skilled care and loaded with a contraceptive method.
Beautiful. As we close up in 30 seconds.
Yeah, in 30 seconds.
You're parting shot, basically.
It's okay. So in addition to that, I think some of the things that are just being done, let me speak to what is being done right now. There's the aspects of telemedicine right now, where the government, the Ministry of Health, and even civil society organizations are taking advantage of the technology right now and offering telemedicine services and even counseling services. And for example, at our organization, Reproductive Health Network Kenya, we have the Nena Admiti platform, where any person is able to call or text via WhatsApp, and then you get instant feedback, you get instant help, even instant counseling. So like for us, we have just our number, it's 0800 211 2277, where a client can call anytime they want. They can text on WhatsApp, even on Facebook. You reach out, we respond immediately. And another thing I've also seen that has been working quite well, and this has been in conjunction with the Ministry of Health.
As you sum it up, yeah?
Yeah, training of healthcare providers and even the community healthcare promoters to offer youth-friendly services, and also just offer the some of the services like the Sayana Press, the one she talked about. So I think that is really helping to reach out up to that person in the rural area who's not able to go to the facility, maybe because of time or maybe the distance.
And I appreciate that you've spoken to the element of innovation and technology. I really wanted us to talk about that. I was worried about time, but at least then that has been captured rather too well. I believe that we are okay, or you want 30 seconds for parting shots?
I wanted to add that the ministry is very specific with the self-care, where again, just in addition to supporting the community pharmacies, we are looking forward to a time when we will be able to support our clients to go home with the methods and self-inject themselves. They actually launched the self-care guidelines the other day. And so all eyes are on this period when we will, this time where we will be able to be giving clients their methods to go and self-inject, like the Turkana guys, where facilities are
very
vast,
far,
are very vast. So you come, we serve you, we counsel you, support you, and give you the method to be able to inject yourself at home.
Beautiful.
You come back after a whole year.
You know, that is beautiful. The conversation is ongoing on our socials, and as we say, time moves, technology moves, and all that, and we must adjust and align for purposes of making sure that we have a healthy nation. We appreciate your contribution this evening, Robina Anene. Thank you so much. Robina Anene is the Reproductive Health Coordinator in Nairobi City County, as well as Innocent Indanger, who's the Adolescents and Youth Coordinator, Reproductive Health Network, right here in the country. Thank you so much for the great insights and the immense feedback from you people. Unfortunately, time would not allow us to go through that, but I hope you have picked a lesson or two. My name is Linda Lele. It was great having you, and I appreciate as well the help of Kelvin Makori, the sign language interpreter of the night, as well as Rhoda Nyamai, who was on while we were doing the news beat. I look forward to seeing you again. Do have yourself a lovely week ahead. Bye-bye. Thank you.